Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome again to the Beyond Africa podcast with me, your host, Ngali Bernard. What if someone told you that the youths who camped outside of Tchiroma's house from October 12th till today have been collaborating with police officers, gendarmes, and military personnel? And that some top officials in the military have also been collaborating with them by giving them resources, giving them intelligence, and giving them the necessary know-how of how to protect Issa Tchiroma. Would you believe that? Before we go into the details of this conversation, first of all, I want to thank you all for watching. I want to express how delighted the team and I are. We told you we wanted to hit 10,000 subscribers and we needed about 1,500 subscribers just in one day. We had about 1,000. We are almost reaching there. At recording time, we are at 9,943 subscribers. Thank you so much. That means a lot to us. Thank you so much. And please, as we gradually get there, don't get offended. Don't get offended. I beg una, make una no vexo. Now Oliver Twist teach we say as the gear would ask for more. I beg una just subscribe. Then share them with una padiment, una friend, una brother, una sister, una remedy, una repe them. Una see no. If una do so, then the community will just grow. And we'll get this community get to grow because say as una know they do anyhow for you. But inside that anyhow so would bring on a better gist, better analysis, better interview, and better commentary. We don't want to make any man miss anything for this channel. We know say we own guess them, we own analysis them, the analysis them way they make sense. So as I tell una so pa the men they will pa the chap them. As una look me so, I beg una just hit that subscribe button. Una like the video, una comment, then share them. That's the best way that una feel support we. I know say we fit hit 3,000 subscribers between today and tomorrow. As una look we so una enjoy the story, una enjoy as we bring una the story them about Tchiroma, about Cameroon government, about elections. All this what we do and so because we want to make una nothing where they happen. I want to make una get idea from peace, Think that they fit tell you we know they see them, we know fit easily see them for social media. They go tell you the reasoning behind how they plan all thing and how thing then the worker. So ultimately, what they ask una say, make una just click that subscribe, like, share, and then una comment, so that we'll understand how things are the worker. Okay, we'll enter back for story we'll get on today about grassroots support, military, police, gendarmes, Tchiroma elections for Cameroon. What a time to be alive and what a time to follow Cameroonian politics. As we have said before, this period is dedicated to Cameroonian elections because the president is 93 years old. He ran to succeed himself and he was declared the winner of the elections. But with that, Issa Tchiroma Bakari still believes and holds very strongly that he won the elections and he is going to defend his victory right till the end. Unlike previous years, Issa Tchiroma Bakari published data, raw data from polling stations where the reports indicated that he won. He collected this data by himself, by his political party, allied political parties, and also civil society organizations. So it was a joint effort that brought out the results that Issa Tchiroma Bakari presented to everyone to see. But the Constitutional Council declared the official result, and the official results have Paul Biya as the winner. Tchiroma is not letting down his guard. He is fighting for his victory, and something happened over last week. So last week, Tchiroma announced that loyalist forces, yes, you heard that right, members of Cameroon's military thwarted an attack on him, and a few days later, they took him to a safe location. Why safe location? We'll hear all that in this episode. We break down why and how the military protected Issa Tchiroma Bakari from an attempted attack, kidnap, or assassination. We don't know clearly what that was. We would also examine how a grassroots youth mobilization may have changed the trajectory or the story of an election crisis by ensuring the security and the safety of Issa Tchiroma Bakari, whom they consider to be the president-elect. And possibly this has changed the future of Cameroon. So on October 31, 2025, Issa Tchiroma Bakari issued a statement in which he said, "I thank the loyalist army, which has shown its patriotism by escorting me to a safe location and is currently ensuring my protection. I will deliver a solemn address in a few moments." What does he mean by a loyalist army? And what does he mean by them protecting him? And how did the youth outside his home play a role into this? In the run-up to the presidential election of October 12, 2025 in Cameroon, there was marked tension. First of all, Maurice Kamto's candidature was eliminated, and the Constitutional Council approved Issa Tchiroma Bakari, who is a longtime ally of Paul Biya, but resigned from the government to run as a candidate in these elections. As results were emerging from polling stations, Issa Tchiroma Bakari, his party, and others put together raw data, and the tally shows that Issa Tchiroma won the elections. So far, only the CPDM and parties that are allied to the CPDM have rejected the raw data as compiled by Issa Tchiroma Bakari and his allies. Despite this rejection by the CPDM and their reliance on the results by the Constitutional Council and ELECAM, none of them have shown any data from polling stations to back up the declarations that Paul Biya won the elections. However, the government has been swift through Atanga Nji Paul, who has warned any candidate who proclaimed victory outside the authorized framework, claiming that a person must have crossed the red line. What is the authorized legal framework? According to the Electoral Code, the Constitutional Council adopts and proclaims the results of the elections. The results of every polling station are proclaimed and published on that polling station at the end of the elections. Nothing in the law says that no one can give the trends of the elections. Therefore, if you have the trends of the elections, you can easily know whether you are winning or who is winning. Clearly, Tchiroma said from the trends he was winning. Joshua Osei said from the trends he lost. Cabral Levy said from the trends he was saying before him, he was second or third. No one attacked Cabral Levy or Joshua Osei for saying that they were not leading or that they did not win, but all the attacks by the CPDM have been targeted towards Issa Tchiroma Bakari, to the extent that the Deputy Secretary General of the CPDM warned Issa Tchiroma Bakari by saying that the government, the regime, will not tolerate any anarchy. These public warnings signaled a high-risk situation for Tchiroma. So Tchiroma left Yaoundé and went to his hometown, to his native city of Garoua, where he voted and took up residence. So in his home city of Garoua, Tchiroma's house became the focal point of state attention as youths constituted security parameters around his house. These youths prevented official police, gendarmes, and military units from gaining access to Issa Tchiroma Bakari. This is important to note because before the elections, Atanga Nji Paul had made a statement saying he has heard that one of the candidates has gone to his native city, to his hometown, from where he would declare results and claim victory. He went further, Atanga Nji Paul went further to say, he, Issa Tchiroma Bakari, does not live in a bulletproof house or in a bunker, so he could be picked up from there at any time. This shows a turn of events that marked security threats against Issa Tchiroma Bakari and why the youth formed a grassroots movement to protect Issa Tchiroma Bakari. The understanding now is that some of the youths were police officers, gendarmes, and military personnel, and they had support and intelligence and resources from their top-ranking officials. At this point, as new revelations are coming out on those who were protecting Issa Tchiroma Bakari in front of his house, I would like to hear from you what you think. Tell us in the comments section, did the threats against Issa Tchiroma Bakari from Atanga Nji Paul and other CPDM militants push Cameroonians to protect Issa Tchiroma Bakari, or without this threat, were they still going to protect Issa Tchiroma Bakari? Just tell us in the comments section what you think. Also note that eyewitness reports have described these youths as being combat ready. But how were they combat ready? They were on foot, they were brandishing clubs and stakes and swearing and shouting and declaring protection for their president-elect, that is Issa Tchiroma Bakari, and forming security perimeters around Issa Tchiroma Bakari's house. Some were 50 meters away, some were 25 meters away, and some were about 100 meters away. And according to this local account, it was the people who made the choice to protect Issa Tchiroma Bakari. He did not ask for that protection. They came to protect him, and they called him President Issa Tchiroma. And they are seeing his residence in Garoua right now as the presidency of the republic. And as they fear that with the Constitutional Council's decision, Paul Biya is going to be sworn in the days ahead, and he's going to maintain presence in the presidential palace. They fear Garoua is definitely going to be the new capital of Cameroon, and that is their hope, that Garoua, Issa Tchiroma's residence, is going to be the new presidency, and that is where Cameroon is going to be administered from. Despite the protection outside, conditions in Issa Tchiroma Bakari's house, that is inside, remained different. Nobody could come in, nobody could go out. He was conscious of the threats against him. Also, this is a replication of what happened. In 1992, John Frundi was under house arrest because there were soldiers throughout the neighborhood in Tarakon. He couldn't go in, he couldn't go out. The same thing with Maurice Kamto in 2018. But the difference here is they went a little bit further with Issa Tchiroma's. There are thermal drones that are detecting the presence of human beings in the house. Though the drones cannot specify with any specificity the identity of an individual, they actually say when somebody is in the house. So as the drones circulate, it's not possible for Issa Tchiroma to leave the house without clear information. And these drones are possibly deployed by the military. And we have also heard reports where Professor Abba Oyono left Yaoundé to visit Issa Tchiroma Bakari, but he was returned to Yaoundé and later on arrested and detained. Also, Professor Mesanga Nyamding was going to Garoua from Yaoundé. He works in Garoua. He's a lecturer at the University of Garoua, but upon arrival in Garoua, he was detained and returned to Yaoundé. Maybe the government is thinking he was going to visit with Issa Tchiroma Bakari because he's been a very vocal critic of the current Yaoundé regime, despite having been a fervent militant of the CPDM. When he was dismissed from the party, he maintained his love for Paul Biya, but he is a threat to those who are around Paul Biya and his party. So I just want us to pause here and think about these loyalist forces and their communication with the youths who were there. These youths had formed a security perimeter and they wouldn't let anybody come in. And then Tchiroma tells us that loyalist forces have taken him to a safe location, meaning there must have been communication between Issa Tchiroma Bakari, the grassroots and foot soldiers who are assuring his security, and the loyalist forces who have taken him out. So why do you think some top-ranking officials within state governance and security apparatus would protect Issa Tchiroma Bakari to the extent that they would prevent an attack or a kidnap or an assassination against Issa Tchiroma Bakari? As we have always heard, the military of Cameroon is fully loyal and committed to the cause. At this point, we're seeing some dissenting voices within the military. So it's good to ask these important questions. I just want to underscore this fact. For the loyalist security forces to have taken Issa Tchiroma Bakari to a safe location, they must have been in contact and collaboration with the foot soldiers, that is the youths who formed the security perimeters around his house. Also remember that before this announcement on October 31, 2025, Issa Tchiroma Bakari had indicated that the regime had initially planned to forcibly arrest him, to force him to Yaoundé, dead or alive. If you remember the threats that Atanganji Paul had issued against Issa Tchiroma Bakari, you will not find this strange at all. Also remember that Tchiroma had said there were snipers stationed across his house, and these snipers were in civilian attire. One cannot say if the snipers were military personnel or non-military personnel, but there are instances that we can refer to within Cameroon where some persons appear in civilian attire, but they perform military or police duties. By simply stationing snipers across from Tchiroma's residence, there was a direct threat to Tchiroma's life. So as the threats increased, Tchiroma was absent for some time. Supporters were asking Tchiroma to give them the next steps, because the week prior, Tchiroma had said on Sunday, Cameroonians should go out to the streets to demonstrate, asking that the Constitutional Council should only proclaim the results from the ballot box and nothing else. Civilians went out to the streets and demonstrated on Sunday and on Monday, but Tchiroma didn't speak. During the week, he made a declaration that the loyalist army had stepped in to guarantee his security, because a segment of the military described as loyalists chose to act not simply as enforcers of the regime, but as guardians of whom they consider the president-elect, who was already under threat. Their involvement reframes the events from either a purely civilian action or a regime crackdown to a more complex interplay of institutional actors. So there is a complete move now here. Are they going to be supporting those who are in power as a regime, or those who are going to be coming in as a regime, especially at a time where it's not clear by the declaration of the Constitutional Council if Tchiroma Bakari is actually going to be sworn in as president. So there's really this balance that is difficult to make here. Why would the military protect Issa Tchiroma? Here are a few assumptions. Reading from history, reading from what has happened in other countries, and understanding what is happening in Cameroon, here are a few assumptions. The first is that the military is fed up with a long-time one-party rule. It's true that we could consider Cameroon a democracy, a multi-party democracy on paper, in the news, in academic literature, but in fact, Cameroon has not changed since the CNU was a one-party state. So the ruling mentality, the ruling ideology is the same. The school of thought that has been ruling Cameroon is the same. So it's a one-party state all along. And it's difficult to see a situation where the military itself does not become tired of a one-party system where the military or security forces are forced to follow one rule, even if they see that the country is not moving towards the right direction. Next is some military officers might feel they owe loyalty to the constitution and not to individuals, especially when they see that these individuals glaringly violate the constitution. Sometimes people think that going to the military is uniquely reserved for people who don't know what is in the constitution. Remember, unemployment is very high in Cameroon. So people who have master's degrees end up recruited as low-level foot soldiers in Cameroon. So it's very normal to see very educated people occupying positions that do not match the educational level. Therefore, military personnel, police officers, gendarmerie officers are also within that rank who understand what is happening in the country.
Issa Tchiroma 76, Issa Tchiroma 77, Issa Tchiroma 78, Issa Tchiroma 79, Issa Tchiroma 80, Issa Tchiroma 81, Issa Tchiroma 82, Issa Tchiroma 83, Issa Tchiroma 84, Issa Tchiroma 85, Issa Tchiroma 86, Issa Tchiroma 87, Issa Tchiroma 88, Issa Tchiroma 89, Issa Tchiroma 90, Issa Tchiroma 91, Issa Tchiroma 92, Issa Tchiroma 93, Issa Tchiroma 94, Issa Tchiroma 95, Issa Tchiroma 96, Issa Tchiroma 97, Issa Tchiroma 98, Issa Tchiroma 99, Issa Tchiroma 100, Issa Tchiroma 101, Issa Tchiroma 102, Issa Tchiroma 13, Issa Tchiroma 104, Issa Tchiroma 105, Issa Tchiroma 106, Issa Tchiroma 107, Issa Tchiroma 108, Issa Tchiroma 109, Issa Tchiroma 110, Issa Tchiroma 112, Issa Tchiroma 112, Issa Tchiroma 113, Issa Tchiroma 114, Issa Tchiroma 115, Issa Tchiroma 116, Issa Tchiroma 117, Issa Tchiroma 118, Issa Tchiroma 119, Issa Tchiroma.
And this is not strange, because Tchiroma won in most military barracks, showing that the military is also out for change and they understand the dynamics around the country. And most junior military officers in Cameroon also are from the north. This may be strange, but in Cameroon, it is known that northerners are brave and they can confront difficulties. And with the rise of Boko Haram, I think it was a calculated strategy by the government of Cameroon to recruit more northerners to confront Boko Haram, because as northerners, they would understand the situation better, they would understand the terrain better, and they would understand the language better. So there has been many northerners recruited into the military as foot soldiers, the rank and file, as foot soldiers who do the daily fighting, the daily field combat and daily field operations. So it's not strange for them to feel that a northerner was overwhelmingly elected by Cameroonians, and they see that power is slipping off his hands. So it's possible that they are protecting the northerner, and this not because of regionalism or tribalism per se, but because they also see the trends, the results of the elections from the ballot box. And I came across an audio that you'll listen to in a moment, where somebody speaking in Fufude. He claims to be a military official from the north. He's making it clear that the army has been tribalized. Ahijo was a northerner. He gave power to a southerner. And Cameroonians have overwhelmingly voted for a northerner to take back power, but the southerners no one to give it. In this audio, he is giving a call to conscience to northerners to know that it is their thing and they need to get it back. I don't know how genuine or how honest that is, but it speaks to a mindset that may be cutting across Cameroon at the moment and explains why some in the military might have decided to support Tchiroma. Also, the military might be suffering from combat fatigue or what they would consider as civilian or political problems that are being solved by using military might. Think about the protests that ensued after the 2008 constitutional amendment. Cameroonians were not happy, but the military was sent out to go oppress them and bring back order. Some of the military personnel may be saying that that was not their role. It was a political question that needed to have been resolved politically. Likewise, the conflict in the northwest and the southwest, southern Cameroons, is being seen from that prism. That was a conflict that should have been resolved by sitting on a table. There is Boko Haram in the north. There is anti-Balaka in the east. So there is fatigue. This reflection is not about Issa Tchiroma Bakari. It is about the state of the country post-elections. Most Cameroonians, as seen last Sunday, came out on the streets to demonstrate. It tells us that the mindset in Cameroon is already moving beyond the current institutional setup. So this may be the time that the military is also thinking, hold on, wait, enough is enough. Let us move directions. For the regime, this event is a warning, a very strong warning, because when the protectors of the coercive state refuse to follow the script that they have followed all along for the last 60, 62, 63 years, the narrative of total control begins to break up. It begins to unravel. And the people start seeing that that power, that unified power that they used to see at some point, is breaking up. And the country is no longer what it used to be. So it's time to think twice. It's possible that the regime comes back to a recount of the votes. Let everybody believe the outcome of the ballot box. I think this is going to appease the military, and the military would understand that it is time to bring down the temperature and let the winner win the elections. The Electoral Code in its spirit should advocate for transparency in an election. Any other thing that does not advocate for transparency leads to doubt, conspiracy theories, and tension. That is not what we want. We want a country, we want a continent that is safe, where everybody agrees on the basics. Thank you all for watching. Kindly give me topics you would like us to explore in the future, or guests you would like us to invite to the platform. We want to give you the best of information, analysis, commentary, and interviews. Our interviews go deep. They last about 1 hour, 30 minutes, because they go deep into the thought pattern, into the understanding and analysis of an individual that brings to light what that individual understands about particular issues. In our interviews, we don't take sides. We ask probing questions. We just want people to give more information so that you, our viewers, would understand. So recommend whom you would like to see as an interviewee, as a guest on this platform. In the meantime, kindly like, subscribe, comment, and share. Until then, see you in our next episode. What a time to be alive. Beyond Africa, where we share the stories that change lives.